Hey guys, Stealth here. Welcome back to World of Warships. It's been a while since I covered a match of this game, but I do play it quite a lot, although I don't find all the matches to be worthy of coverage. But this one was quite special because it got me one of the highest base XP rewards for the Des Moines which I've ever seen. Or at least, which I have ever seen, not counting streamers like Flamu and other really good players, of course. Anyway, this Des Moines is running with the Halsey captain, which means that I have some very good bonuses, provided that I can get Confederate and or some of the other less likely rewards like double strike. It's not impossible in the Des Moines, but it is rare. As for the team lineup, we're pretty evenly matched. It's tier 8s and tier 10s with a few tier 8 battleships. As you can see, we have a North Carolina, Monarch and Bismarck, a tier 8 aircraft carrier, which is going up against pretty unfortunate matchmaking for him, although not as bad as Lexington has it with a Des Moines and 2 Worcesters. And besides that, we have a couple of destroyers. Now, shout out to Sea Devil here in the gearing. He really provided me with a lot of support, and he was doing a very good job in B, as we're going to see. Now, over to the left, as is per the usual, we have the B cap and the C cap. I am coordinating with the gearing here to ask him if he can set up smoke, and with the smoke there, I am in a much better position to cover the whole of B with my radar, as well as provide assistance against any ships that might be coming either around the island here or through the north. Fortunately, our CV is right on point with scouting out the enemy destroyer, so we really know that the enemy Shimikazes are up to the north. That just leaves the Kagero off here to the south. He hasn't been spotted yet, but then again we haven't quite had any air coverage on this flank yet. But the enemy the enemy CV is definitely scouting out the place and flying right over my AA. Now this Des Moines is not very spec'd for AA. Unfortunately the stats menu doesn't really work, but I believe I only have AFT, so I have additional range. Now looking for targets, we have a Monarch up here, and thanks to the smoke coverage I can pretty safely fire. And due to expert marksman and expert loader, depending on my threat, I can very quickly swing the turrets around and load the required set of ammunition. First fire set, and that was on the enemy battleship, the Monarch, up to the north. He decides not to extinguish the fire, which, as far as I'm concerned, is exactly the right call, especially considering those British ships can very easily heal back most, if not all, of the damage that they take. And instead, this Worcester is getting quite pushy. I'd say entirely for the wrong reasons or at the wrong time, because we have quite a few battleships backing us up here in the south. And as the Worcester pushed out too far on that island, he got detected, assuming by the gearing and the battleships, and got quite heavily punished for it. Now the Iowa, narrowly getting the shells over the island. Unfortunately, thanks to replays, which are still, despite the game being several years old, not working optimally. I cannot track the shells, but I am able to lob some shells over the island and onto the deck of the Iowa. And at that range, the shells are pretty much coming down vertically, which means that I'm hitting the top armor of the deck and doing a little bit more damage than when I'd be hitting the side of the ship, provided that you're hitting the ship in the weakest spot, of course. Now smoke is fading and it is time to move up. In the meanwhile, the enemy has captured Charlie. We can see both Shimikazes over there. And as I was so focused on what was happening in front of me, I didn't really pay too much attention to what's happening off to the side. But only now do I realize that there are 2 Shimikazes, which at this point know exactly where I am, and which are possibly gearing up for a torpedo attack in my direction. So I swing the turrets around, at that moment take a bit of return fire, knocking out my bow turret. Unfortunately, the Shimikaze has disappeared. Can no longer see him, and as you can see on the minimap, I might be able to radar him, but he's right on the edge of my radar range. So instead I just decide to back up, try to get undetected, and get away from that withering fire that's coming in from the Worcester over there. In the meanwhile, gearing has pushed up. We know that one Shima is dead, we know where the Shenyang is, we know where the second Shimikaze is. So now it's time to start moving forward. He's saying push. I'm trying to assist him there as much as possible, but we have 3 battleships, North Carolina, Monarch and Iowa. We have the Worcester there and the Shenyang. Our battleships are off to the south, so I'm hoping that they are also going to be able to join in, regardless of the threat that they're facing. And the current threat for them are the enemy torpedo bombers, but of course the deep water torpedoes, potentially coming in from the Shenyang, are also enough, let's say, encouragement for them not to get too close to this cap. Since the enemy ships are now behind the islands here, I can move up. And so far, the match is about 6 minutes old. I haven't done that much yet. Set a couple of fires, shot down some planes and did 40,000 damage. It's time to do a little bit more work here. Unfortunately, our right flank is not looking too good at the moment. We only have the carrier, which, as far as I'm concerned, should no longer be there, but should be moving west. We have the Kagero, which might be able to hold off these ships for a while, but not too long. And we have a Hindenburg and a Buffalo. Both are in pretty exposed positions there. And talking of exposed, we have an Iowa up here. The Iowa seems to be turning around, potentially being scared out by the torpedoes that might be coming out from the gearing. And as the Worcester seems hell-bent on killing the gearing, I think he has him radared, as I'm being radared as well. Switching to AP quickly, immediately taking out as much of this Worcester as possible. I'm hoping to tackle the guy before he's able to completely kill off the gearing. This is the only thing I can do for the gearing. I cannot take any hits for him. But it looks like concealment for gearing has been re-established and he did survive. That's when the Shenyang pops up, pretty much where I expected him to be. Shenyang has deep water torpedoes and is always quite eager to go after battleships because of that. He could hit me, but he cannot hit the gearing. And right now he could win a gunfight against the gearing, but not if I'm still around. Now for some reason the enemy CV decides that this is a perfect moment to start flying enemy planes overhead. I think he was trying to get the gearing, and he in return lost all aircraft. All his strike package is gone. Took out, I think, 11 or 12 planes there, which means that his dive bombers are gone, his fighters are gone, and potentially his torpedo bombers are coming around in a minute or two. Because they don't have... I didn't see those in the strike. And not just that, but there's also the fact that they went after the torpedo, or sorry, after the battleships up here. And yep, here they come. At this point I was getting a bit jumpy because I don't have any defensive AA anymore, because I had to defend the gearing. So I have 2 flights of torpedo bombers coming in. And all I have to tackle it with is my own AA, but thankfully our aircraft carrier is right on point, strafes half of the squadron away, and they pose very little threat here. The right flank is still being held by a Buffalo and a Hindenburg against a Des Moines, a Bismarck and a Rune. So I'm still concerned about that flank, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it right now. The teams are pretty even, with us having 1 ship less than the enemy. My damage has by now ticked up to 80,000, mostly thanks to the fact that I was able to kill the Worcester so quickly. And surprise, surprise, the carrier's up here, pretty close. He's trying to run away, and the problem for me is that I cannot really chase him down. Because the moment I go full speed after that aircraft carrier, I'm presenting myself as a very, very nice target to a Monarch, an Iowa and a North Carolina. This is when, once again, the dive bombers are coming in. And once again, Des Moines AA proves itself quite effective and takes out a few of these aircraft as they're on the way in. Unfortunately, that's when also a Bismarck appears on my flank. I haven't really been paying attention too much to my starboard flank. And the Bismarck is having a bit of a fireworks show up there with all of his secondaries. I'm not sure if this is manual. I don't believe so, considering how spread out the fire is. I'm trying to take out the Bismarck, but the Lexington beats me to it with an AP bomb and takes out the Bismarck, leaving just the Des Moines and the Rune on that flank. All their destroyers are dead, save the Shenyang. And the Shenyang is having aircraft carrier issues. His position is being immediately identified by the carrier, and the carrier seems to be trying to go for a torpedo drop on him. Now this is when the Monarch once again gets spotted, going very, very quickly in the opposite direction for some reason or another. He might be trying to fall back and heal up, which I don't want him to do. I know how good those battleships can be at healing up. And you can pretty much see a brand new Monarch, or at least about 30% of his hit points, return in the span of about 90 seconds. Now this is when I was a bit unsure about where to go. I thought, well, we are doing quite even on points, we're doing quite even on teams. I can take out the enemy aircraft carrier and allow my ships a little bit less threatening from the air. We don't have any DDs, so in that sense it's not too valuable. And had I turned around, I could have possibly taken the Iowa and the North Carolina from the flank and went after the Shenyang. I decided that taking out the aircraft carrier and capping Alpha at this point was more valuable to the team. This was going to much more boost our chances of winning. I'm trying to fire AP into the side of the ship, hoping to get a couple of Citadel hits, but the shells are still landing pretty much on the deck and bouncing off of it as a consequence of that. The CV is able to escape behind the island, which is where I can no longer fire at him, but at least they won't be taking any more points from the A cap. Unfortunately, our Bismarck over at B cap has died. This means that we are very likely to quickly lose the B cap. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. All I can do is engage the Shokaku, kill it, and capture A. And then see if I can deal with the battleships on my way south, which means that I'll be presenting myself to 2 battleships and a destroyer. It's a risk, but I'm gonna have to do something. Here's the Shokaku again, and no more Shokaku. As a bit of an insult, my secondaries managed to take him out before my main guns do. It's quite unusual to get a secondary kill with a Des Moines, or at least with my playstyle it is. This is where the island happens to be turning into my favor. The enemy Des Moines, at 15 or 16 clicks, is presenting a broadside figure. I'm able to fire over the islands, and he's being detected by, I think, the North Carolina and the Hindenburg in our cap. I'm no longer being detected, so I can fire pretty much from stealth, trying to get these shots landed on the Des Moines. At this range my aim is quite off, as you can see. I need to work on that a little bit more, because I should have easily been able to hit him. Fortunately, he's about to make a mistake. He is about to have a very short run-in with that island. But such a run-in that he gets stuck, at least for a bit. And because of that, there's not a whole lot he can do to dodge my shells anymore. It becomes suddenly way easier to hit these targets. And my shells have a travel time of about 10 seconds. So I'm quite happy about this guy managing to get himself stuck there. And with very high impact HE shells, I'm very quickly able to take this guy down to low hit points. He is starting to heal up though. Put a fire on him, switching fire to the Rune, trying to get the double strike. Because with the double strike and Commander Halsey on board, you can lower your detection radius, which in this situation could have been very helpful in trying to hunt down the destroyer or close on the battleships a little bit safer. Unfortunately, do not start a fire on the Rune, and I should have taken out the Des Moines earlier. Because the Des Moines is now back up to 7k damage, or 7k hit points. He's doing good damage in return, putting a fire, and finally with the Citadel I'm able to take him out, heal up, repair, and move on to the Rune. Again, I'm hoping to get the kill on the Rune quickly, so that I can get that activation to pop up where my detection radius goes down. Unfortunately, the Lion beats me to it, and it's unfortunate, but I'm quite happy that the Lion took him, because now we are 3 versus 3, where a moment ago it was 3 versus 4. Next target is the North Carolina, and I was quite surprised that he has this much health remaining. He's on 58,000, and it's time to change that fairly quickly. So I'm trying to close in, putting a fire on him. I have no shots because of this island and the height of it. Despite the floaty arcs of the Des Moines, I'm unable to float my shells high enough so that I can clear the island. I am, however, unsure of the position of the Iowa. I don't know where that thing is, and I don't know if I'm suddenly going to be receiving broadside shells from the Iowa. So I'm asking the carrier to have a look and see if he can send out his fighters to deal with the Iowa. Or, well, deal with them, at least try and spot them. So that I know exactly where he is and how I need to position myself in order not to get citadeled by the Iowa. Shenyang pushes forward. He is dealing with the Lion, potentially trying to get a couple of torpedoes off. I think that by now he should be in range. North Carolina is also in range. Lion takes out the Shenyang. I capture Charlie. This is my second cap. First cap was Alpha. And the North Carolina is now in a perfect position for me to take very, very good shots at him with AP. I get Confederate, and Confederate with Halsey means that you get a reload buff. Now I also get a slight reload buff from having my health reduced to 36,000. So my reload is now a slow, or a little bit over 4 seconds. I think it's 4.1 seconds. Normally your reload is 5 to 5.5 seconds. So the amount of firepower I'm able to produce here is very, very good. CV finally found the Iowa, way off the position on the west flank at A. I have no idea what the guy was doing there. He has very little hit points left. I even ask him, why the hell are you there? Even the enemy team doesn't quite know. But at any rate, we win the battle. So let's have a look at the results screen here. Now, as for the results, 588,000 credits, and yes, this is thanks to a credit booster. 11,000 XP, thanks to getting a 100% bonus from the daily win, as well as bonus from the camouflage, and almost 3,000 free XP. Next part, team score, 3,091 base XP. Quite unusual to have that much base XP for me, but I very much welcome it. As with the Des Moines, I'm on the last stage of getting the unique upgrade, and I need 40,000 base XP for that part. Lion at 1961, good work there. I felt that the gearing could have done quite a bit better had he survived longer. The longer a DD stays alive, the more dangerous it becomes. And the gearing got complimented by me because he played well, was aggressive, capped, smoked up his allies. Really, really good play there. Detailed report, most damage was spread out over various targets. There was not one particular ship that I did most damage to, although the enemy carrier, the Shokaku and the Worcester, they took a lot of damage. North Carolina, 37,000, out of a hit point pool of a little under 60,000, it's okay, but it is not percentage based as much as you would expect on the Worcester and Shokaku. And for credits and XP, as I mentioned, you get a little bit of a distorted picture here. The Victory Salute camouflage, you can see that here, gives me a 50% bonus. Daily win bonus plus 100% and a 3% clan bonus for a total of 11,733 XP. And thanks to a little bit of ships bonuses and the Victory Salute camo, I get 18,000 Commander XP. And considering that Halsey is already elite, I get that transferred to Elite Commander XP. So again, Des Moines, really, really dangerous ship, if left unchecked. If you can get the Des Moines into a position where it has the broadsides of enemy ships at short range, so I'd say 10 clicks or less, it is going to absolutely rip them to shreds. And thanks to the enemy team, I was able to do that quite a few times here. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to join World of Warships, then be sure to check out the link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so that means that I get a small reward from Wargame for anybody who signs up there. If you want to play together with me, I am on most days, so just add me to your friends list, Stealth17, I'm on EU server, and we can see if we can have a game together. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon for more videos.